गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी प्रिय गोपीजन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी शोधानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन शोधानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव सुभद्रा जय सुदर्शन जय जय गौरनिताय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय गोपाल देव जय गोपाल देव जय गोपाल देव जय जय प्रभुपाद जय प्रभुपद शिल प्रभुपद जय प्रभुपद श्रीपद जय गुरुदेव श्रीपाद जय गुरुदेव जय जय श्रीपाद जय गुरु महाराज श्रील श्रीपाद की जय जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय जय संवेद गौर भक्तवृंद की जय So we're reading the Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, text number 26. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udhiraya. Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishiki. Verse number 26. Shri Shuka Vacha
Shri
Bhaktayet. Yeah.
Shri Sukha Uvacha
Bhaktayetam Prapannaya
Bhaktayaitam Prapannaya
Vidyam Adishya Narada
Vidyamadishya Narada
Yaya Vangirasa Sakam
Yaya Vangirasa Sakam
Dhama Swayambhuvam Prabho.
Dama Swayambhuvam Prabho.
Shri Shuka Vacha
Shri Sukha Uvacha
Bhaktayetam Prapannaya
Bhaktayaitam Prapannaya
Vidyam Adishya Narada
Vidyamadishya Narada
Yaya Vangirasa Sakam
Yaya Vangirasa Sakam
Dhama Swayambhuvam Prabho.
Dhamma Swayambhuvam Prabho.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. Sri Shukadev Goswami continued. Narada, having become the spiritual master of Chitraketu, instructed him fully in this prayer because Chitraketu was fully surrendered. O King Parikshit, Narada then left with the great sage Angira for the topmost planet known as Brahmaloka. Purport by Prabhupada. When Angira had first come to visit King Chitraketu, he did not bring Narada with him. However, after the death of Chitraketu's son, Angira brought Narada to instruct King Chitraketu about Bhakti Yoga. The difference was that in the beginning, Chitraketu was not in a temperament of renunciation. But after the death of his son, when he was overwhelmed by his great plight, he was awakened to the platform of renunciation by instructions regarding the falsity of this material world and material possessions. It is only at this stage that Bhakti Yoga can be instructed. As long as one is attached to material enjoyment, Bhakti Yoga cannot be understood. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, 44th verse. Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya pahritta chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhi samadau na vidiyate. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. As long as one is very much attached to material enjoyment, one cannot concentrate his mind on the subject matter of devotional service. The Krishna conscious movement is progressing successfully in the Western countries at the present moment because the youth in the West have reached a stage of vairagya or renunciation. They are practically disgusted with material pleasure from material sources, and this has resulted in a population of hippies throughout the Western countries. Now, if these young people are instructed about Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, the instructions will certainly be effective. As soon as Chitraketu understood the philosophy of Vairagya Vidya, the knowledge of renunciation, he could understand the process of Bhakti Yoga. In this regard, Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has said, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga, Madhya Leela 6.254. Vairagya Vidya and Bhakti Yoga are parallel lines. One is essential for understanding the other. It is also said, Bhakti Pareshanubhava Viraktir Anyatrasya. Bhagavatam 11:2-42. Advancement in devotional service or Krishna consciousness is characterized by increasing renunciation of material enjoyment. Narada Muni is the father of devotional service, and therefore, just to bestow causeless mercy upon King Chitraketu, Angira brought Narad Muni to instruct the king. These instructions were extremely effective. Anyone who follows in the footsteps of Narad Muni is certainly a pure devotee. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarup Damodara Swaminiti Namine Namah Sadbhaktamane Manipurudbhavaya Cha Prabhupada Satvani Prachara Niratayate Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Desatarine Vancha Kalpatarurvesya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamana Tam Namami Harim Param Sansara Sagare Magnam Deenam Mam Karunanide Karmagrahya Grihitangam Mamuddhara Bhavarnavan Srimad Bhagavatamakyoyam Pratyaksha Krishna Evahi Svikritosi Mayanata Mukyartam Bhavasagar. So, Hare Krishna. So we are continuing the Bhagavatam Seva. So Bhagavatam is Pramanam Amalam. It is a spotless Puran. It is Mahapuran. And it is also called what do you call it? It's a Granthavatara. Granthavatara means it is a literary incarnation of the Lord. The Lord in the form of a book, the form of a holy scripture. So as such, the Bhagavatam is non-different. And I've already mentioned in one class there are 10 different topics. Sarga, primary creation, secondary creation, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Utaya, like that. So many topics are there. But finally, it comes to ashray. Ashray means taking shelter, right? All these different topics, ultimately, they lead to this final topic, taking shelter. So, in material life, when one is, very much attached to material enjoyment and, enjoying the senses, sense gratification, like Prabhupada used to say, we take shelter of, all these materialistic people, our family, our friends, society, community, so many things. So many things are there. But when one becomes little renounced, when one understands that these things, all these bodily possessions, all these bodily relationships, how much ever one may be very intimate, with thing, even if there is a slight provocation, you see, all these things, they get terminated. One can experience that. One can practically experience that. If there's even a very slight provocation, although one may be very affectionate, very much attached, there's some small provocation, one immediately, there is, this all these nice relationships and, this so-called attachment, everything, it becomes terminated. Even otherwise, it becomes terminated in due course of time. So when one is fully convinced of this fact, and then one develops this vairagya bhava, this renunciation, this mood of renunciation, then one becomes eligible to enter into bhakti yoga. Then one becomes eligible to consider the other option, which is this bhakti, the spiritual life. And here in spiritual life, the ashray, the shelter we take, is the shelter of the bona fide representative of the Lord, because the Lord is not going to directly come to you. So rather than take the Lord, who is also an ocean of mercy, we take shelter under the bona fide Guru, the pure representative of the Lord, who is many many million times more merciful than the Lord. Because it is a Guru who actually picks up you from this material whirlpool, who gives you this divine knowledge, and it is a Guru ultimately who gives also Krishna to you. The supreme absolute truth is handed over to you by the spiritual master. Krishna doesn't give himself. No, the Lord doesn't give himself. So ultimately, the whole Bhagavatam is guiding us towards this. So in this verse, in this particular verse, there are three different points, main points. There are so many things in the Bhagavatam. The first thing is that, you see, Narad Muni is giving instruction because Chitraketu is fully surrendered. So this surrender, this mood of surrender is very very important in spiritual life. This mood of surrender is very very important. This is the main point. And the second point, the main point is that uh, the instructions given by Narad Muni. Why not Angira Muni instruct Chitraketu? Angira Muni was the one who came first on the scene, seeing the kings lamenting that I don't have a son, I don't have a heir apparent for the kingdom. So it was Angira Muni who bestowed a son upon him. So why didn't Angira Muni give him the instruction? This is the second main point. And the last thing, they are all three of them. I mean, all two of them, Angira Muni and Narad Muni, are going back to Brahmaloka. And Prabhupada, in the conclusion of the purport, Prabhupada is making this very wonderful statement that Narad Muni is a father of devotional service. Liberated spaceman who travels everywhere, who goes around in every place, and Narad Muni, countless of souls Narad Muni is delivering. So, and Prabhupada is also saying, if somebody is following Narad Muni, like how Chitraketu is following Narad Muni, then certainly that person will become a pure devotee of the Lord. So this is the thing, Bhakta Marganugama, following the footsteps of these pure devotees. We have the good fortune to be in this Krishna conscious movement. So, when somebody is having this wonderful golden opportunity, you have all these good fortune, available. And if you don't cash in and you don't take shelter, proper shelter in a proper surrendered mood, then, it is our loss. So, one has to completely, one has to completely avail this facility so that, one can achieve the topmost goal of life, this topmost perfection. So, the first point, right? The mood of surrender. Sharanagati, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, Anukulasya sankalpa, Pratikulasya vivarjanam. Then what is that? Anukulasya vivarjanam. Goptritve varanam tata. No. Anukulasya sankalpa, Pratikulasya vivarjanam. Rakshayati vishwaso, Goptritve varanam tata. Then Atma nikshepya karpanye, Shadavidam sharanagati. These six things indicate that you are a surrendered soul. You accept something which is favorable for devotional service. Anukul. Anukulya vastu, anukulyasya sankalpa. You accept that. You take a vow, I will only, do these things. I will only chant, I will only speak about Krishna, I will only take Krishna prasadam. I will not try to deviate here and there. This is anukulya. Whatever is favorable, we accept. Pratikulyasya vivarajanam. Giving up all these unwanted things. This is a renunciation mood. It is not required. If it is causing an obstacle to your devotional service, then one should give it up. Immediately one should give it up. You can have the whole world and the riches, but if you're not able to save your own soul, I think Jesus Christ said that, then what is the use? What is the point there? It has nothing to do with you. So one should learn to develop this vairagya bhav. And then anukulasya sankalpa, pratikulesya virjanam, raksha iti vishwasa. You always have this firm determination that Krishna, Guru and Krishna will always protect. Goptritve varanam tata. And the Lord is my protector. You should have this full faith. And then what is that? Atmanikshepya karpanya means this mood of full surrender. One should develop this, completely giving up everything. And then humility, dainya bhav, karpanya, to become little humble. Because we are insignificant. If you don't think that you're insignificant, then you cannot develop this mood of surrender. And unless you develop this mood of surrender, it's not so easy to give up all these things. So the whole thing, it starts with humility. Trinadapi sunichena tarorapi saishnuna. Amanina manadena. Whether you get respect or not, still, if one is able to develop all these nice quality, this natural, wonderful quality of humility, then you see, kirtaniya sadahari. You can perform devotional service very nicely. It becomes so much easier. So these are the symptoms of Sharanagati. And Chitraketu is fully displaying these symptoms. Therefore, Narad Muni is instructing him in devotional service. So the disciple, he must be ready, and then he must be surrendered, so that when the Guru inflicts some discipline, disciple means discipline. If there is no discipline, he is not a disciple. It's as simple as that. So when the Guru inflicts discipline, the person, the disciple should be willing to accept that. Yes, the Guru is doing this for my betterment, so that I can advance in spiritual life. So one should be very, very cautious like that. So as soon as Chitraketu surrendered, immediately Narad Muni is instructing. And then you see, Narad Muni's instructions are so effective, immediately he is picking up the thing Chitraketu is able to pick up, because now he is fully renounced. He has understood all these material things, how distressing they can be. Dukalayam ashashvatam, Krishna is saying, but all of us, we want sukalayam and shashvatam, not ashashvatam. We want sukalayam. Everybody wants to be happy. We want to be in a utopian world where everything is very blissful, right? This is all a primary goal. How to become very happy, and how to be in a place or dealing with things and people and relationship which is shashvat, which will last. This is what we want. As soon as you follow the spiritual instructions, you can be promoted to such a condition, such a state of existence. It becomes very easy. Simply, you develop this mode of surrender, and you have to follow the instructions. So Chitraketu is doing this. Now the second thing, why was Narad Muni the person to instruct Chitraketu? Why not Angira Muni? So you see, even among devotees, there are different levels. Angira Muni is not an ordinary person. He is also the Manasa Putra. He is one of the Manasa Putras of Lord Brahma. He's appeared from Lord Brahma's mind. He is one of the progenitors of mankind. And Atharvangirasam Asid. Atharva, this Atharva Veda, he is the beginning of that. So, the lineage, you have saints like Bharadwaja and so many other, wonderful personalities, coming in this Angira Gotra, like that. We say Bharadwaj Gotra. So he has so many wonderful followers. So he is not ordinary personality. So much ways he is qualified. But still, when it comes to Bhakti Yoga, when it's coming to giving instructions about devotional service, he is bringing Narad Muni there. So he's understood that, I'm not fully there. See, unless one is fully convinced about spiritual life, unless one is fully convinced about devotional service, unless one is fully convinced that the supreme goal of my life is, Lord Krishna, unless you are, in that position, it is very difficult to convince others. You can try time and again and again, you can try, but you will not be able to convince others. It's not possible. But when you are fully convinced, even sometimes just looking at that person, immediately you get this kind of inspiration, let me also become like him. Now, how is this person so blissful? How is this person, so very happy, always engaged in the service of the Lord? How is he having this exclusivity? This one-pointed focus. Like Prabhupada is saying, Vyavasaya Buddhi. This resolute determination to do devotional service. Let me also become like that. Because in the material sphere, you cannot have this thing. There are so many disturbing factors that your determination will run here for some time and then here for some time. You call that manoratha. Manoratha asato dhavato bahi, situated on a mental chariot. One is running here and one is running there, and so many places, running after all these temporary things. This is what we are doing actually. So, because Narad Muni is fully convinced about devotional service, not only is he convinced, he is also executing that. He's also, every single moment of his life, Narad Muni is executing. You see, he has his veena, he's always playing that and he's saying Narayan, Narayan, and he's wandering all over the universe simply chanting the holy names of the Lord. Narad Muni, Bhajai Veena, Radhika Ramana Name, singing the glories of Lord Krishna. So such a personality who is fully convinced and who is also applying this in his real life, when this person speaks, then you see it becomes highly effective. This is a point Prabhupada is making. So if you want your preaching to be effective, because this is a preaching movement, we are not selfish people that we want to just improve our own lives. We are also trying to help others. So this helping others, this thing is only possible when you are fully convinced yourself and when you are doing this with full conviction. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It will not work. So then, Narad Muni is the father of devotional service. And then this main point, this very main point, which is like the essence, Vairagya Vidya, Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga. And then, Prabhupada is saying, this Bhagavatam verse is there. Bhakti Pareshanubhava Viraktir Anyatra Sad. Right? Prapadyamanasya Yatasnata Syus Tushti Pushti Shadapayo Anughasam. It's a very wonderful verse in the Bhagavatam, in the 11th canto, I think, second chapter, 42nd verse. This bhakti, this process of devotional service, this is a translation by Prabhupada. Bhakti, devotion, para isha anubhava, paresha anubhava, direct experience of the Lord. And third thing, virakti or vairagya, this detachment from unwanted things. These three things, bhakti, your direct experience of the Lord, and virakti, renunciation. These three things occur simultaneously for one who has taken shelter of the Supreme Personality of God. So if you're lamenting, oh, I don't have any devotion, I'm not able to experience the Lord, and I'm not able to give up all these unwanted relationships and unwanted things in this material world, my mind isn't, so many things are disturbing me, then if you simply take shelter, ashray, this main point I was talking about, ashray, you take shelter of the Lord and the Supreme Lord and his bona fide representatives, immediately, these three things you will experience. And the example is given in the same way. As soon as asnata means as soon as you're eating, when you take one mouthful, you develop these three things automatically happen. Tushti, pushti, and shadapa. Tushti means you get immediate satisfaction. You're very, very hungry and, you take some prasadam, nice prasadam, immediately there is tushti, satisfaction. You feel so much relief. There is pushti, the food goes inside, you feel this nourishment, pushta, you become very healthy. And then shut up, what the hunger is also removed. All these things, they happen when you take ashray, when you take shelter of the Supreme Lord. That is what, all these effort is simply for that, how to guide this person. Baba, you don't go there, you don't go to all these materialistic people and take shelter of them. They are not going to help you actually. They themselves are suffering. So you please come over here, you come over to spiritual life, you please take shelter of wonderful devotees, pure devotees, and you will be so much happy. There is a story of this guy who lost his ring. I don't know if you heard this. And this fellow, he was searching under, somewhere in the street, he lost the ring, and he was searching under the lamp, this street light, right? This lamp light. He was searching. So somebody was walking that way, and he asked him, "Mister, can I help you? What are you doing here? This is so late at night. What are you doing here?" "Oh, I lost my ring. I'm searching here for my ring." So then this person is telling him, "Where did you lose your ring?" He asked him, "Where did you lose your ring?" And then he's pointing out in the darkness in some corner of the street and said, "I lost it there." So the passerby was asking him, "So why are you searching here?" "Oh, there is more light. So because of that, I'm searching." See, this is our foolishness. We think that in this material, sphere, in this material atmosphere, we think that we will be able to find, what is that we have lost. We are searching. We are searching for something lost, and that lost thing we think we will find in the material world. But even if there is some so-called light, reflection of light, it is simply a mirage. There is no reality there. It's just like a dream. See, Prabhupada is making this very wonderful thing in the Bhagavatam. There is this thing. See, um, as soon as a living entity thinks that he is independent, his conditional material existence begins. And this conception of independent existence is therefore like a dream. And then he's making this statement again: the karma spirit, or the desire for one's own satisfaction, is fully exhibited in the material world, whereas the spirit of akarma is fully exhibited in the spiritual world. In the mundane field, such an outlook of doing good to others in the form of society, country, or humanity is a partial manifestation of the same original feeling in which a pure living entity feels happiness by the happiness of the Supreme Lord. So we are searching for happiness in the wrong place. And we are asking help from all the wrong people. You cannot, no matter how many plans you make, in this material world, you will never be happy. It's not going to work. You have to transcend this material platform. You have to be on the spiritual platform. And when you become a fully realized soul, then you can, you can think about being happy in any place. Any place you will be happy. Does not matter. Wherever you are, you'll be happy. And you see, in the purport to this verse, Prabhupada is giving so many wonderful points. I'll just read the purport and then we'll highlight something, and then I'll try to conclude with a small story. See, a person who's eating not only becomes uninterested in other activities, but he becomes increasingly uninterested in the food itself. You see the thing, this beautiful point. According to his satisfaction, is what Prabhupada is saying. So, but on the other hand, Jiva Goswami is, according to Jiva Goswami, although one who is experiencing the blissful personality of Godhead, Krishna, becomes uninterested in anything other than Krishna, but still his attachment to Krishna will increase at every moment. See, this is a very important thing. You think if you come to devotion, I'm doing these devotional activities, and then after one point, because of our material experience, we think there will be some kind of saturation. Right? I'm very hungry and I eat, my stomach is full. Now I don't feel like eating anymore. I'm fully satisfied. So even if you offer me the best prasadam, Mayapur Mahaprasadam, big alpha, big, cake, still I will not take it. So we think that, because of a material experience that, once you do this activity, this will be finished. So same way, when you come to spiritual life, when you become attracted and you're rendering devotional service to the Supreme Lord, you think at one point after you have realized God, this attraction will stop. This is not so. Your attraction keeps increasing at every moment, and with the increase in attachment, your happiness also keeps increasing. So you see, the conclusion is that the transcendental beauty and quality of the Supreme Lord are not material, and one will never become satiated by relishing the bliss of the Supreme Lord. So this is the main point. And then the virakti means detachment, and tyaga means renunciation. There are two words. Virakti, detached, and tyaga means renouncing. And this word renouncing is very important because Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is saying renouncing means you are, there is a situation where you're considering giving up an enjoyable object. Detached means you may be enjoying or you may not. You're not enjoying. Detached means you're aloof. You're aloof from that thing. But renouncing means you have enjoyed the thing. So much enjoyment is available, and still you're giving up this enjoyable object. I try to understand. There's a difference. So this tyaga or renunciation, this is very much essential. But Bhakti Siddhanta is saying, the devotees are saying, you don't have to give up this enjoyable object, but you simply employ that in the service of the Lord. You dovetail it in the service of the Lord. This is what is being mentioned. And then Yukta Vairagya. This is called Yukta Vairagya. Then, Prabhupada is saying, see, just as an hungry, materialistic man, upon seeing sumptuous food, immediately desires to put it in his mouth, an advanced devotee of Lord Krishna, upon seeing a material object, he becomes immediately eager to use it for the pleasure of Krishna. So, without the spontaneous hunger to engage everything in the service of Lord Krishna and dive deeper and deeper into the ocean of love of Krishna, so-called realization of God or loose talk about so-called religious life is irrelevant to the actual experience of entering into the kingdom of God. Prabhupada is making so much heavy points in this. So, but anyway, the point is that Bhakti Yoga is so joyful that even at the stage of sadhana bhakti, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is saying, even in our position, when you are endeavoring to perform devotion, in which one is following all the rules and regulation without any advanced understanding, still one can perceive the ultimate result. It's such a nice point. Prabhupada is saying actually, as soon as one surrenders to the Lord, giving up all other activities, one is immediately to be considered a liberated soul. And the Supreme Lord is so merciful that when a living entity understands that the personality, the Supreme Lord Krishna, is a source of everything and surrenders to the Lord, Krishna personally takes charge of him and reveals to him within his heart that he is under the Lord's full protection. And Prabhupada is making the statement that devotion, those three things I said, right? Devotion, direct experience, bhakti, para, isha, anubhava, and virakti, detachment, all these three things become manifest even in the beginning stage of Bhakti Yoga, since Bhakti Yoga begins at the point of liberation. This is the point. See, all other processes will have the final goal as salvation or mukti, but once liberation is achieved, then Bhakti Yoga starts. Sarvadharman parityaja maam ekam sharanam raja. After surrendering, then aham tvam sarva papebhyo. So Chitraketu surrendered now because he has realized. This hard experience, this hard material experience has made him realize this. And then as soon as he's surrendering, immediately the guru is available and, he's giving all these wonderful instructions. So there's few time left. I will just tell you a small story and we will wind up. There were these two kings, one K.C. Dwaja, who is a devotee, and there was another devotee, not devotee, there was another king, his name is Kandikya. So K.C. Dwaja, who is a devotee, and Kandikya, both of them, what happens is that this K.C. Dwaja, being a devotee, he was doing devotional service, but Kandikya was very expert in performing sacrifices and all that. So these two kings, one day they had a big fight. So the devotee, K.C. Dwaja, he became victorious. So this person, Kandikya, that king, he became so humiliated that, he went to the forest and he started doing a lot of tapasya for self-realization. So after so many years has passed, this this king, the king who's a devotee, Kesi Dwaja, he wanted to perform certain sacrifices because he wanted to teach his general public who are on the lower platform, that by performing all these sacrifices, you can elevate yourself to the platform of pure devotional service. You have to start somewhere. So just in order to teach them by his example, he wanted to do certain sacrifices. And, because he didn't have any knowledge of these sacrifices, he went to the forest to meet this king who had become very expert in this art of performing sacrifices. So he went there and, you please tell me how I can serve somebody like you, So Kandikya asked him in return, that defeated king is asking him, you please tell me how to control my mind and senses, which are presenting a great challenge to me. So then the king, the devotee king, is saying, for controlling the mind and the senses, one should meditate exclusively on the transcendental form of the Lord, which is the Shubhashraya, the most auspicious object of meditation. The forms within the material world, they are not prescribed for meditation because they have two flaws. The first one is the forms are not natural because they are acquired by individuals due to karma. And the second thing is these forms are subject to destruction by the force of the time. But the Lord's form is not a product of karma, it is eternal. So by meditating on his form, one can subdue the mind and the senses. So this is the thing. This is the point. And this Bhagavatam is actually the Swarupa or the form of the Lord. I will just conclude with a small verse from the Padma Puran and the translation of this verse so that we can meditate on the Lord. And just 1 second. Yeah. I said the Padma Puran is saying, Padau yadiyau pratama dvitiyau tritiya turyau khatitau yaduru nabhistata panchama eva sashto bhujantaram doryugalam tatanyo kantastu rajan navamo yadiyo mukaravindam dashama prafullam एकादशो यस्य ललाटपट्टं शिरोऽपि द्वादश एव भाति तमादिदेवं करुणानिधानं तमालवर्णं सुहितावतारम् अपार संसार समुद्र सेतुं भजामहे भागवत स्वरूपम् Bhajamahe Bhagavata Swarupam. So the translation for this, very nice verse in the Bhagavatam, in the Padma Puran, goes like this. He said, the first and second canto of the Bhagavatam are Sri Krishna's lotus feet. The third and fourth canto are his thighs. Right? The fifth canto is the navel, the Nabhi. The sixth canto is the chest. So we are in the sixth canto now. This is the chest of the Lord. And the sixth canto talks about Poshanam or protection, because the Lord's heart beats for his devotees. It beats for everybody, but specifically the Lord's heart beats for his devotees. The seventh and eighth canto are the two arms. The ninth canto is the throat, Kanta. The 10th canto is a beautiful lotus face of the Lord. The 11th canto is the forehead, and the 12th canto is his head. So I bow down to that Lord, the ocean of mercy, whose color is like that of a tamal tree, and who appears in this world for the welfare of all. I worship him as a bridge for crossing this unfathomable ocean of material existence. The Bhagavatam has appeared as his very self. So if you simply, focus your mind on the Bhagavatam and, you can visualize the Lord at every stage, how this whole form of the Lord is available in the Bhagavatam. If one can concentrate his mind on the Lord in a very surrendered mood, you see very quickly one can become, a perfect soul. One can become a very nice devotee of the Lord. So this is a conclusion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Thank you for your patient listening. Any questions, any suggestions, or any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat Pranam. Thank you for this wonderful class. Yeah, if anyone is having any question regarding today's class, they can raise the hand and ask His Grace Madan Manohar Prabhuji. Yes, our Balramji is having a question. Balramji, please make your question straightforward and be short.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Very nice explanation to the, nice verse also in Bhagavatam. I have, what I understood from the purport of Prabhupada, it's the vairagya for the material sense gratification should come fast. Otherwise, it's very difficult to get attached to the spiritual sense gratification. That means to attach to the lotus feet of Lord. So, from that point of view, one should practice to avoid the sense gratification before attaching to the lotus feet of Lord. And in that sense also, the impersonalists, I guess, they can be easily, turned towards bhakti yoga because they are devoid of the material sense gratification. So it may be easier for them to go towards bhakti yoga because that is not the perfect knowledge that they have to go to the impersonal Brahman and merge there. So in that sense, the vairagya is the most important thing in this as long as we are in the material world. Or we are involved in this material sense gratification. Then after that, one can go towards spiritual attachment to the lotus feet. In this sense, when we consider the food, Prabhupada says, as much as we want, we can eat the prasadam. But if our senses are not purified, then then it's not easy to, even if we take prasadam, it is not easy to control the mind and senses. So,
see, in the beginning stage, actually, Prabhupada used to say, you eat up to your neck and walk like a duck, but you do full devotional service. Prabhupada used to say that. Yes, that is true in the beginning stage. But, as you advance, you learn to give up. Slowly, we learn to give up. Even if it is very opulent prasadam, we take what is needed. But the most important thing is that, see, we are not stopping sense enjoyment. The thing is that we are trying to help in the sense enjoyment of the Lord, because the Lord is a complete whole and we are simply part of that Lord. So when we independently think that, let us do sense gratification, it becomes a problem because we are always dependent on the Lord. But as soon as you depend on the Lord, surrender, and you help with the sense enjoyment of the Lord, your senses becomes purified and you can experience all the bliss that the Lord is also experiencing. Like Lord is like a tree, and when the tree is shaking, all the fruits, the roots, the flowers, everything shakes, right? So this is what happens. So that experience we get. But now, because of this detached mentality, right? Because we are thinking, let me have my own sense enjoyment without depending on the Lord. Because of this, the problem comes. So this whole idea is yukta vairagya. How to employ whatever things we want to enjoy. If we can use that in the service of the Lord, then it becomes perfect. It becomes purified. The Lord purifies that, and He gives you more and more knowledge, so that gradually one can come to the stage of total dependency on the Lord. So this is the point. And as far as these impersonalists, it is formless. They think God is less. We say God is great, right? Devotees have a better conception of Lord. We say God is great. But the Mayavadis, they say the Lord is formless. If there is no form, what will you deal with? What are you dealing with? There is nothing basically there. They have no philosophy. But, they are so stubborn that, they think, they give all these very rational explanation, like, because the Lord is everywhere, right? So He cannot have a form. How can, everything be there and, they have a form? It cannot be possible because they have this material conception. The Lord doesn't have a material form, but He has a wonderful spiritual form. This conception doesn't go into the end because alpa buddhi, alpa medasa, very limited, poor fund of knowledge, Prabhupada used to say. So it's very difficult to convince these people actually to become devotees. It's really difficult. You said it is easy, and it's not so easy. And even if you listen to them, sometimes you also become influenced by that. Because they say you're God, everything is God, because everything is like that. They have all these weird philosophies. But for devotees, because they understand that God is great, and how impossibly great we can only understand through devotional service, by engaging our senses fully in the service of the Lord. So the devotees, they follow this process of devotion under bona fide devotees, and they get the result also. But impersonalists, it is very difficult. Even though they achieve impersonal liberation, the Lord is kind because they're putting in so much effort. Like a father, he sometimes he does something to please the son, right? To please the child. So he takes them to Brahma Jyoti, to the impersonal liberation. But because there is no variety there, again they fall down. They fall down from that platform. They come back again to the material sphere. But devotees, they go beyond this Brahma Jyoti to the spiritual planets, the Vaikuntha planets, Krishna Loka, Vrindavan, and they are always engaged, very blissful activities with the Lord, full sense enjoyment, unlimited. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, very, very nice. Also, I understood from your speech that the spiritual sense gratification it will not be complete ever, because when we are in the, let's say, in the material world, when we eat more or gratify our senses more, it will be in Rajoguna. When it's completely less, it will be in Tamoguna. But in between, it will be in the Sattva-guna. But when we go to spiritual side, then the opulences of God is so huge that we cannot think that we can satisfy with so much. The attachment will be so high, we can never be fulfill the senses. So as soon as we'll continuing this spiritual process, it will continue unlimited ways. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Balramji. Maybe we should keep time limit for the questions and answers. Yeah. Yes, Prabhuji, I do have a question. Maybe it is one or two, I don't know. Yeah. So in the purport, it is mentioned that we should not. Where is it exactly? Yeah, we should not inform about the Bhakti Yoga until this renunciation is starting. So this is what actually Bhagavad Gita says, like Sarvadharman Partyajya. So till that point, till the person is not in the receiving mode, we should not convey the thing exactly what it is. So that is what Bhagavad Gita says. Whereas Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions are like a kind of opposite in a sense, in one sense. So go door to door and try to bring everyone. So be compassionate about all the souls. So so how to understand these things?
You know the story of Ramanujacharya, right? His guru gave him this mantra. You say this mantra, all your problems will be solved, right? You will be very blissful. And don't reveal it to everybody, because people, unless you are Brahmanical and you are qualified, they shouldn't know these things. So then Ramanujacharya immediately went to the top of the Srirangam, that thing, what do you call that? That wall surrounding the temple, and he stood on top and he started announcing to everybody, come, come, come. This is a mantra my guru has given. All of you can be freed. And Om Namo Narayanaya, he started saying this mantra also. So the guru got upset and he came to him. And then Ramanujacharya was saying, my lord, my dear master, spiritual master, if I go to hell, that is fine. But if all these living entities are liberated, I'm willing to do that. Sacrifice, tyaga, right? Giving up. So he is giving up his own happiness for the welfare of others. But if you can give your own happiness, give up your own happiness for the happiness of the Lord, this is pure devotion actually. The thing is, Ramanujacharya apparently was not following his guru's instruction, right? But he understood the intent. The intent of the guru was actually to elevate all these people to become, persons like Ramanujacharya. And unless Ramanujacharya is doing this, handing this over, how is it possible these people will be delivered? So you understood the inner mood, the inner essence. Same thing. Krishna is demanding surrender. Unless you surrender, Krishna is not going to, what is that? Sarva papebhyo, remove all your sins and all your worries. But Mahaprabhu, because he is in the mood of a devotee, right? He is the Lord, but he has come back in the mood of a devotee. So, even though you're not surrendered, even though you're qualified or unqualified, then still Mahaprabhu is giving you, and he's not giving you an ordinary thing, he's giving you the topmost thing, Krishna Prem. So, Krishna, if you surrender, you never know what he will give. But Mahaprabhu is giving you the topmost thing, which even Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and the big demigods are hankering for, Krishna Prem. They don't get this very easily. That thing, that topmost thing, beyond which there is nothing, Mahaprabhu is giving. So this is why, devotee, bhaktaya, tad bhaktaya, devotees, and even devotees of devotees, they're all very worshipable because they are so munificent, they're so magnanimous. They have understood the proper goal and they're giving you Krishna, even if they have to sacrifice their own happiness for that. So this is our mood, this is a Vaishnava mood. Prabhupada used to say, our mood is, that we want to, I don't know to cook, but still whatever little cooking I know, if I'm able to feed 100 people, don't you think Krishna will be happy compared to the other person who's just cooking for himself very nicely and eating? You see the difference? There's a difference there. The father will appreciate this son's effort more, So although I'm not fully qualified, still if I'm going out and preaching and trying to bring some few people to Krishna, Krishna will be so much more happy rather than, sitting and trying to, get my own self-realization. Krishna is not even happy when you're not with devotees. This is how it is. Even if you're a pure devotee and you're executing devotional service, if you're a wonderful devotee, but still if you're alone without the association of other devotees, Krishna doesn't like that. So there are so many things like that. But this is the main point. The devotee, he goes out of his way by understanding the inner mood of the Lord. The Lord wants to deliver all these living entities. So he sacrifices so many things for fulfilling the happiness of the Lord, for fulfilling the desires of the Lord. This is real devotee. This is a real devotee. Yeah.
Yes, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Yeah, Govind Maharaj, please.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, Dandavat Maharaj.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Maharaj.
Maharaj has unmuted and again muted maybe.
Okay, am I unmuted now?
Yes, Maharaj.
Yeah, Maharaj, we can hear you. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, you emphasize the significance of Bhagavatam. Meditation on Srimad Bhagavatam is no different from Krishna's poem. And he quoted Padma Purana. There is a first two cantos represent the lotus feet of the Lord, correct?
Yeah.
Just as the 7th and 8th represent the two arms of the Lord. 6th is the chest, which we are studying. So is there some particular significance how the first two cantos represent the feet, and which aspect, which portion of the feet they are representing, first and second? Is there any difference, or they're just together?
I mean, like all the limbs of the Lord are not different. So there is no special, how do you say? If you're at the feet, you're as good as you are with the, the entire body of the Lord. There's no difference. But to my understanding, Prabhupada was saying that, I'm an old man. When I went to America, he said, whatever instruction I had to give, I gave in the first two cantos. Because Prabhupada was thinking that he may leave his body anytime. So, this whole first two cantos of the Bhagavatam are specifically very, very important. And you see, like, when Prabhupada completed also, Prabhupada went all the way to Brahma Vimohan Leela. Even Lord Brahma, who is supposed to be like, Narad Muni is the father of devotional service. So Brahmaji is the grandfather of devotional service. Even Lord Brahma, he becomes, Vimohana. He becomes completely bewildered by the Lord's, activities and form and, all the pastimes of the Lord. So Prabhupada stopped that. It's a very significant thing. So for ordinary living entities like me in particular, it's very difficult to understand. So Maharaj, you please kindly, you reveal the significance. You bless us with the nectarian words. I'd like to hear from you. Harish.
Well, because there is some correspondence to first canto and the portion of the Lord. Of course, although every limb of the Lord is compared to lotus, still ultimately the top portion, the lotus mouth, is most relished, correct? Simultaneously, they are one and still supreme, superior. Because we start from the lotus feet, then to the chest, and to the lotus mouth, Gopinath. So in that sequence, the first canto is very foundational. So first canto represents what? There is a specific representation of first canto. That is the soul of the Lord, souls.
The souls, okay, bottom of the feet.
Yeah. And what is the significance of the souls? How many marks are on the lotus feet, lotus soul of the Lord?
Okay, that I don't know, Maharaj. I'll have to check. I can't say for sure.
Okay. 11 in the right one, 8 marks.
Left.
How many
19.
they make?
19, Maharaj.
So what is the significance of 19?
No idea, Maharaj.
How many chapters in first canto?
Oh, you mean 19 chapters? I don't know. I've never really looked into it.
You still don't know? The question
No,
itself,
Maharaj.
my question still gives the answer, no?
Yeah, 19. You said 19 chapters, right?
Has to be. The specific description how each canto represents each sign of the lotus, so on the lotus soul of the Lord.
Okay.
Yeah. Then the second canto represents the top portion of lotus of the Lord. So, what comprises the second, the